No, yep. Or I remember what I have the list right here, so we're good.
Okay, Rob's 3, Starry Eyes is 4, Event Horizon is 5.
This is
correct.
6. Yep.
So, Cannibal mini episode will be 6.
I keep having this nagging feeling that I've forgotten something.
Hey, if you forgot it, it probably wasn't all that important.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey everybody, welcome to the PG show of Cannibal Holocaust. This is
Good
episode
luck
number...
with me being PG, Billy.
Lilith, would you like to tell everybody the episode number?
No, Billy, I'll let you tell them the episode number.
I forgot. I said we just talked about it.
You did, didn't you?
Did you forget?
You didn't you? No.
What is it?
6.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
All right, let's get started. Honestly, Cannibal Holocaust, if you guys don't know what it's about, this is probably more famous for the behind-the-scene actions than what actually happens in the movie. It's been banned in so many countries. There was actually a legal battle going on. The director went to jail.
Big time.
And there's still issues with the way they treated animals in the movie. The list can go on. So for a brief synopsis, Lil, would you like to do something real quick?
Yes. I want to start with saying that anybody that's scared about the animal violence in this film, if we ever mention anything around the animal violence in this episode, as Billy said, this is PG-13. So we're not going to go into gory detail about this. We're going to skip past a lot of that stuff. So please don't worry about that if you're sensitive to animal violence. We still want people that are curious about this film that do not like animal violence to enjoy this episode. So feel free to stay here, be safe, and if we ever bring up anything triggering, we will let you know. For guys, gals, non-binary. Okay, so what is Cannibal Holocaust about? Cannibal Holocaust. So it is 3 documentarians, young documentarians, decide to go into the rainforest, aka the Green Inferno, where cannibals reside. 2 clans of cannibals, actually. One on one side of the river, the other on the other side of the river. One being tree people, the other being swamp people. The swamp people being a little bit more vicious, though neither of them are not vicious. So these 3... I see you, Billy. I see you, Billy. Oh, I see you. Just because I'm looking at them doesn't mean I don't have peripherals. Any hoozles.
They're glasses.
I'm sorry. It's glare. I'm sorry. But yes. These 3 fools, our 3 antagonists decide to go to this rainforest.
Yeah, they're not the fools.
And they decide to go to this rainforest and do everything you probably shouldn't do when it comes to cannibals or people that you don't know. And we will get in deeper detail with this in this episode of Movie Night with Bill and Lil. Thank you guys, gals, non-binary pals, for joining us. I'm super excited for this one. This one was technically my choice. It took us a little bit to figure out how we were going to do this one because I like the really crazy ones. And this one's pretty crazy. And we're going to get into some details, but we're not going to get into details that are going to make you run away. So, Billy, would you like to start us out with how this movie opens or open discussion?
Seriously, it's beautiful how some of the shots are made.
It is.
It feels like you're like on a nice little plane ride with beautiful ambient music in the background. The Green Inferno looks amazing. So when you hear Cannibal Holocaust, it's definitely not about Nazis that eat people. If anything, you're trying to figure out who the real monsters are throughout the whole event, and immediately you do tend to go to these people. If you grew up like me and Wild Boys was a thing, you realize that the stereotypes and what you think aren't really true, and so on and so forth. But this movie was made in the 80s, the 70s.
I believe it was the 70s, yes.
It was really early, and they talked about the concrete jungle at the beginning. Honestly, so shot for shots, the way this is made is so beautiful. The shots in New York are great. The shots in the Green Inferno are great. But let's go ahead and start off with why they are looking for the 3 reporters. And who is looking for the reporter?
Yes. Yes. So we have a professor or doctor that decides to go into this rainforest to find these three young people, two being male, one being female, two of them being a couple, one being a friend, who decide to go into this rainforest and just we'll get more into that. But this doctor decides to get a guide leader and his little lackey, and with some guns and some cockiness, they decide to trek into this green inferno of a rainforest. And they see from the very beginning that these people are not the kind of people you want to mess with.
I mean, before we even get there, there was a big scene where people are attacking them and using these darts.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing is, it feels like they are preemptively striking, but if anything, it feels more like a defense after you watch what you watch later on in the film. And the way that they're tracking the tribemen is very, very... I would say it's strategic, but it's without remorse as well. You'll see later on what happens and what needs to take place because they came without food. What they're going to do later on is probably some of the best I thought was effects of the movies. But no, once I started looking up facts for the film, I think they killed 7 animals total.
Yeah, I thought it was 6, but you could be right with 7.
I think
altogether
on screen it showed 6 because they had to do one scene twice.
Yes,
and we'll talk about that when we get there. But
without the gory details, but yes,
there's like a little tiny little piglet, and they grab it. Like the screams alone. Ask Lil.
Oh, I close my ears. I literally having said that, I picked this film because I do adore it for what it is. This is my 3rd time watching it for this podcast because I cannot, with the screams from that scene alone, literally, I feel like a little girl in that scene. I close my eyes and close my ears, and I just have to get through it. And, because I've seen it 2.5 times now, because this time I was like, you know what, I tried. I don't need to go through it again. I've seen it twice already. But it's super effective. It's overkill, and it's vicious.
So I got this when I was like in my teenage years. I was trying to be edgy, and what's more,
I think I was 16.
Yeah, and honestly, this time was the first time I realized, man, maybe some of this is real as far as the animal stuff.
Well, see, I went into this film not knowing that any of it was real as well. I just knew it was very well known in the community for being like crazy. And I was like, oh, wow, those effects are insane. And then I look up the facts and I was like, well, that explains it. I was like, it's just like this is Billy's fact because we have discussed this. I'm not trying to steal Billy's fact, but at least the majority, if not all, of what is killed in this film is eaten at the end of the day on screen. So not that it makes up for the means necessarily, but I mean, at the end of the day, it could be worse. They could have just did it and thrown them in the river.
It was better than hunting for game, in my opinion, which a lot of people do. And the fact that the tribe had a voice, or the natives had a voice of like what is considered delicacies and what like I can appreciate that going into it. Did we necessarily need to see everything? No.
It was this movie is the epitome of overkill. I think, like, how traditional horror movies go really crazy and then they go a little crazy and then really crazy again. This film takes that one crazy moment and then does it 3 times and then 3 more times. Like, it keeps trying to top itself, whether it's with nudity, with its aggressive hugging,
Speaking of aggressive hugging, we are at that scene where
Yeah. So we get into the Inferno after this whole ordeal of these people going missing. They're all over New York TV. Everybody wants to know where these young documentarians have gone. So this professor goes into the Inferno. Right from the bat, they run in to a man and a tied up woman on a boat coming to shore. He takes her tied up to shore. She's completely full of mud, and a ritual begins that involves aggressive hugging for adultery.
See,
Billy,
Event Horizon kind of opened a can of worms, ladies and gentlemen, and it caused me to nitpick, but I enjoy the nitpick. So you may see this as Billy just hates movies. No, I'm telling you the flaws and why I love it so much.
Yes.
And
See, Billy, when he says something negative, it doesn't mean he hates something. He's just trying to explain how he feels about something. This is a judgment-free zone, guys, gals, non-binary pals. We're allowed to have different opinions here, and I enjoy different opinions. So go ahead, Billy.
But the ritual that is being taken is... This is trust-based, and I don't know why. I don't know if the natives think this is so savage that they don't want to see it. But the thing is later on in the film, you see savage things happening with the natives in sight. So, really...
Women aren't very highly respected in this film by either of the clans, it seems.
But why did the guy take her out on the boat to the post, do that there? The thing is, I was like, okay, the post is going to be a reference, or like it's going to come back later on in the films. If you buy the movie, like you see post person on there. No, he goes and does the thing. He slops it with mud.
Yeah, it's essentially the best way I can describe this without going overly gruesome is that once they're on shore, he takes a carved rock that looks crude and aggressively hugs her with it, very roughly. And then once you think it's all done and over with, he makes the mud pie and puts some sticks in it and aggressively hugs her again and again and again. And then once he's done doing that, he uses a rock. And then the scene's over.
Well, it's not over. He puts her back on the boat and takes her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Else.
I'm sorry. I forget about that part.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
He puts her back on the boat and throws her out to shore, and you're like,
he goes with her, doesn't he?
He doesn't, because as soon as that's done, the doctor or professor and the guide shoot the gun to scare him to get him to go back to the tribe so they can find out where the tribe's base is. So that's where we go from there.
Well, don't they do that again later on in the film too?
They do it a couple times in this film to get to their base. But I will say that the doctor, being probably the most decent person out of this whole entire film, in my opinion, he does at one point try to go and stop this man from doing this to this woman. The guy threatens him with a knife at one point because he's like, you do know if you go, you're killing us all. And he gets it. He leans back and he has to unfortunately watch this horror show. But yeah, like, even though it's disgusting and disturbing and pushing it as far as it can, I find the scene where she's writhing in the mud very well done. Beautiful in a disturbing way, you know what I mean? Like, it's not... I
don't think any of the effects are cheaply made, so...
No,
you're 100%
like, it's...
right. Like, everything looks good,
yes.
and a weird sense of, like, it's not good at all. Like...
Yeah, because, like, a lot of the times, especially with, like, shock factor movies, like Cannibal Holocaust is, we get the shock without the quality. You know what I mean? It's like it's like obviously fake, but it's done. In rare occasions, like Cannibal Holocaust or Terrifier, people that really care about their effects and really care about what they're trying to put out there, like this film does. Why I wanted to talk about it, because even though this film is very shock factor, I feel like it is very artistic as well, and it's not just shock for shock at the end of the day, like other films have been.
Well, I can agree.
Yeah.
So as they're coming to the tribe, they have that weird ritual that I'm like, this is kind of weird. So the guide's
amount of nudity in this film will make you want to be virgin for the rest of your life. That's all I can say.
So I don't know what's up with Lil's picks, but a lot of it deals with sexual content. She was like, "Hey, Billy, after this, you want to watch Species?" I'm like, "Geez."
I did. It's just because I just recently did a video that reminded me how much I love it. I'm sorry, Billy. I like the gruesome ones, okay? I like gruesome films. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm wearing a Terrifier shirt. I was on the Terrifier kick before the second one came out, thank you. I tried to convince everybody this was a great film when everybody was telling me it was a horrible film. Now, all of a sudden, oh, y'all love Terrifier. I loved Terrifier before it was a thing to love Terrifier. Thank you very much.
I loved it back when the autographs were only $20 and not $75. Yeah.
Basically, when everybody wasn't hanging his picture up on their wall. You know how bashed I got for liking that film? But anyway.
Well, I have a huge poster of that, and it was hanging in my office. A lot of people will come in and out. Like, they see Jake Gyllenhaal, Heath Ledger. They see a bunch of these autographs. I'm like, oh, amazing. They don't care about Terrifier. They walk past it. The true, like, horror fans that I have over, they're like, you know Terrifier? And, like, they see who all signed it. I'm like, yeah, I love Terrifier. And this was before, I think, 2 was even announced. So
yeah. Terrifier for me was one of those things that I knew the movie was coming out before it came out because I knew of the short film that he did that had Art the Clown in it. And even well, there was one before that.
All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve was no. All Hallows Eve was the first movie that Art the Clown was in. He was in a short called Terrifier that was a short film that was him, a girl basically in a car, and it was like 35-40 minutes film that was just based around Art the Clown, and that's what got him going. And then All Hallows Eve happened. He got really popular from that. He got his own franchise. Terrifier happened, and we all know what happened from there. Yeah. I loved him from that short because he always had that potential of being that icon that he is now.
So,
but yeah,
back to our conversation.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Now, we're gonna have to.
At least we didn't get on Disney this time.
I know.
Okay, at least we're not on Disney.
This would have been like the 5th episode in a row.
I can't. We got on Disney with Rob too. I'm like, can we go a single episode without talking about Disney? But how the heck is it so like cohesive with horror and Disney and it just like works?
In a roundabout way, we're now talking about Disney, so I guess we'll have to wait till next time.
That's my fault. That's my fault. That's my fault.
Anyways,
my bad.
A lot of these people are former porn stars.
I didn't know this.
Was the main one who wanted to jump onto the big screen, and then he didn't do well, and then he went back to porn.
Yeah, like it doesn't surprise me because a lot of the acting, especially from the main female or the young female that originally gets abducted, is like really bad. And I don't go into detail with that because I don't judge people harshly with that kind of stuff, but it is like really cringy at times with her acting, in my opinion. But yeah.
But this scene, the guy's butt naked, holding up his weapon. They're shooting like small little darts at his feet. Like,
yeah, this guy derobes to show the tribe that they're coming in peace with the prisoner that they have. So as Billy said, go ahead, Billy. What are they doing to this nude man?
Well, they're just shooting arrows at him one by one. You see them getting up out of the bushes, but then all of a sudden there's a ceasefire. It looks like they want them to follow back to their like little tribe, and everybody gets up and goes. I'm going to talk a little fastly about this scene. It's basically they get there, they're trying to make peace. He pulls out a pocket knife and he's teaching them how to open it up, shut it, open it up and shut it. He gives it to the main honcho, Chief Keef, and
because he's having a little bit of a nervous breakdown and they don't know why yet.
Yep. So basically after they gave him the gift, they all chilled out and ate marshmallow puff.
Yeah. Oh God! Don't even start me with that marshmallow puff. Let's just say that marshmallow puff is regurgitated before it is eaten, and I like out of all the scenes in this movie, that's one of the hardest ones to watch.
I'm the opposite,
me, personally.
I find it homing and comforting. It's like how Mama used to do it.
Okay, baby bird.
Okay, baby. All right. Anyways, there's a
I
couple.
can't even. Yes. After that, like they see the film canisters from the documentary crew at this point at their camp. So the doctor's gotten it in his head that he needs to get that film to find out what has happened because they still have yet to find bodies, people, anything of the original 3 campers that they have tried to find. Keep in mind, the original 3 campers also had a guide as well that knew this jungle. So it's very odd that they're nowhere to be found.
Well, I mean, it's very odd until like they took a bath, and by taking a bath, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's the next scene.
the doctor goes and he shows his stuff. 7.
He derobes completely. As I said, there's enough nudity in this film to like ruin you with nudity forever.
7 giggling tribe girls come out of nowhere.
Just randomly. 7 random naked women come out of nowhere and go in this water with him and just start playing around.
And it's just
I'm
so
just
weird.
like,
I'm like, this has to be like soft core. And I'm like saying soft core at the hardest core because it's not even like attempting to hide anything. And,
it's like she's like playing with berries. It's like playing with. She's like.
but the thing is,
I'm
they
like,
hopped
I'm
in,
dead.
they hop out, they're running, they're giggling. The comic relief guys are like, oh no, here they come. They're like giggling in the bushes. The doctor puts
The
on his
2
clothes.
guys, like the tour or not tour guide. I want to keep saying tour guide, but the guide and his lackey are like looking at him and giggling the whole time while they're playing with them, and I'm like,
The doctor chases
Okay.
after him. He's all excited. He gets around the corner and they're crying at the feet of this monument.
oh, it switches like snap of the finger. They're all giggly, happy, playing with them, and then as Billy just said, round the corner, like
That's my
horrendous
new ringtone
crying.
now. I'm sorry. That's the ringtone every time you call. It has
You're
to be.
welcome. It's $1.99, Billy. I will expect it. I will expect it in PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Thank you very much.
I'll take it out of my editing pay.
Oh,
yeah.
Fine. Okay, we not. See if I unlock you this week, Billy. See if I unlock you from that
Yeah,
chair.
pretty much. Anyways, so they find all the bodies, and the gore and effects for this movie is amazing.
Even when it's just a corpse.
It's just hung there, and it's more believable than movies that are made today. I would take
110%.
take these, but the thing is this scene is just so random, and like you're like, did we get here way too fast than need be? You're forgetting that this movie is not just through the doctor's eyes. You're eventually going to go back to New York, look through the New York's POV and why this documentary is important, and then you're going to actually watch the documentary with everybody else.
You thought it's bad thus far. We've skipped over a lot of the sexual things, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and we've skipped all the majority of animal violence in the beginning. Though I will say there is one part at the very beginning with an animal that they don't end up hurting, but even the 3rd time I watched it, I was like, please don't let this happen because it's this beautiful, gorgeous tiger, and they shoot at it. But it gets away, and I was like, yeah. I was like, you know what? I wish that tiger would have turned around and eaten the... Never mind. I can't say this. Because I literally defended a bear on TikTok, and my video got taken down for harassment or dangerous behavior. Tell me.
Behavior for defending a bear.
I was defending a bear eating a kayak, and I got it taken down for... It was a duet. I wasn't even talking. And yeah, I can't. And the original video stayed up.
That's weird.
You gotta love how that works.
Anyways.
Yes, back to the original
They're looking
movie.
for the tree swamp people now.
So they know that the original team is dead. They don't know why. They just know they're dead. And going a little bit more into the corpse effects, Billy, like this shrine they have down to the corpses they find. Like it's so good, and they use live insects within like the effects, and I think that helps its case a lot. It's just the effects are astounding in this film, as disturbing as they are.
They only get better from here on out. I really like how they do the makeup for the tribe that we're about to see.
Yes, the tree tribe, and
how it feels like a cultural event instead of a stereotypical. Like, I felt like they
Yes.
actually took the time for this group rather than the other ones, and the
Mm-hmm.
trials they have to go through in order to gain their trust is also something else. To I'll let you explain all that.
Yes. So once we get to the tree people with a couple of hideous sexual things in between, um, we get to the tree people and they are very scared. And we still don't know why these people are so scared of us. We're just assuming at this point we're just not natives, so that's why they're jumpy. But we see film canisters, and we need those film canisters that are hanging up because we need to know what happened to the 3 dead people. So the doctor, go ahead, Billy.
Why do you think the film canisters are important, though? Why don't you think the tribe destroyed them or do anything with them yet?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Why would they just have them hanging there? I believe one girl is wearing one. The doctor has some dialogue within this, and he's trying to figure out like what's going on in this tribe, why they're acting the way they are, and how to gain their trust. Because they're just very scared. They're hiding within the trees. And he recorded one of their rituals essentially on his voice recorder, and he gets the idea against the will of his guide. He goes and he plays this song that the tribe leader has sung in front of them, and through doing this, they come out of the trees finally, and he gains their trust. He finds that these canisters were looked at as something bad. They had them hung up to get the bad vibes away from their tribe. We don't know why they think it's so bad yet, but we just know that whatever happened scarred these tribes for people of white skin, essentially. And I truly don't blame them at the end of the day. So after this all happens, we gain the tree tribe's trust, which is really not like, I love the ritualisticness of this film and how respectful it is with it. What do you think about that, Billy? How like that whole like the ritualisticness of it is? Do you think it's fairly respectful to what they were trying to portray?
I believe so, and I know the
Mm-hmm.
natives worked with the film director and like everybody there, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe they have a heavy input on how to do things,
Mm-hmm.
and this went very, very well. I also believe
Yes.
there's a line in the film that they believe that there was power in the film or power in these
Yes.
canisters,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like I believe, I'm not stealing your fun fact now,
No,
but
no, you're fine.
you told me the story of how a teacher took a picture of a Native American,
Yes.
and they believe that was a soul trap, and
Yes. They made him burn it.
yep. So it's kind of like the same thing, except there's a power struggle, and eventually
Mm-hmm.
they gave up the power, and the doctor got it and took it back to New York.
Yes. We go back to New York for a little while into the concrete jungle.
And honestly, the characters here are so much fun, and it has some of the worst
Mm-hmm.
and best scenes, in my opinion. Uh,
Agreed.
we go to a park, and there's like a little boy feeding these pigeons, and he's doing it so terribly, and he's dressed like he's from like the 1800s.
He's trying. He's trying.
I'm like, this has to be like the director's kid or something. Like, this kid can't act with
Mm-hmm.
crap, and he's distracting me from the doctors and the
Mm-hmm.
university professors, like reasoning why they need to go through and look at the film and publish the film.
Yes.
Apparently, the film crew did a documentary beforehand about war and conflict.
Yeah, it's war crimes. I think it was like, yeah, it was the majority of the people in the film were African American descent. And it was very gruesome. It was very brutal. And then you go through this and you're like wretched in your heart and stomach from what you just saw. And then what does
You're-
the lady say,
You're
Billy?
so politically correct that you were wrong.
I try to be nice, Billy. God damn it.
African American descent? Like, are they
Yes.
filming that in America, or are they just African?
I am trying to be nice, Billy.
I know, but
Some people don't like the other terms. That's the most politically correct, so that's the one I choose to use.
it's fine if they were doing this in America. They're actually in like Africa, so they're not African American.
Yet again,
right?
Billy G is getting me canceled. This is like the third episode. Okay, I am canceled.
I'm
Where's
checking your
Rob?
privilege, bro.
Rob, where are you? You're supposed to be taking my spot. Okay, he's trying to cancel me so he can get you now. I see how it is. I see how it is. You're out to get me.
This was probably some of the toughest film because
It was rough.
right after you watch this, you think that this is all going on and they're capturing it naturally. They even told you that they staged a few things, and you're like, oh, so most of this probably didn't happen. But then you watch the new documentary and you're like, oh, no, they staged it and made sure it happened. And it was gross. So
Yeah, like the producer thinks it's completely faked. Essentially, she tells the doctor, "Oh, they faked the whole thing," but later we find out odds are that it was most likely not fake whatsoever. What we just saw. So that relief we get just comes right back.
anyways, I was kind of excited to see this part again because I always thought they were the worst people. Maybe like as I got older, I could sympathize with them. No, they are just some of the scum of the earth, and
There is no redeeming these three people. None.
They're
None.
just giggly, I would say, college seniors. Like, they don't have a mature mentality to anything. And the way that they're
Not in their
treating
freaking bone.
the
Not a
expedition,
bone.
like
A
just
majority.
preparing to go, is something you would see out of, like, oh, what's that movie? Animal House. It felt like they're like,
Yes.
like it's kind of like
These-
that type
these-
of fraternity. It's weird.
It's like children in adult bodies, essentially. They act like children, but though they're adults, you know? And it's just like, I get being comfortable with your friends, but like, honestly, girls, who out there that has two guy friends and their best friends in the room, you're just gonna walk out of the shower completely sky-clad? You're not gonna do that in front of your boyfriend's best friend. She does it like she does it all the time in this film. Like, la-di-da-di-da-di-da, and she's completely nude, brushing her hair, doesn't get a towel. I'm like, girl, you would not be doing that.
I would argue that this has probably been going on for 3 or 4 years, especially if she was a part of the old film crew. So maybe the first few times she didn't, but then as soon as
That's true. I
they've
didn't look at it
done
in
all
that
the
way.
terrible things that she's like, okay,
She was a part of it too, so I mean, like,
especially the final terrible thing we see them do.
Oh god,
And
yeah,
she
we're gonna
didn't
get into
really-
that.
Yeah. So let's just jump into the first terrible thing they do.
Yes, let's go. So we find out the reason that the original tribe that we saw was so upset. Essentially, I'm right. When as soon as they got there, Billy, that's when they set the fire, and basically
That's where we're
we get
going.
into the original tribe that the doctor saw, and we find out why they're freaking out. He showed them a pile of rubble. The pile of rubble was one of their homes that they burnt down. They put all the tribe and tied them together. Well, not necessarily tied them together, but put them together in basically surrounding them in fire. Shot it to where it looked like they, not them, but other people were doing it to them, and like showing their terror through the flames and just killing their food, killing people for no reason, and just terrorizing this town.
It was really
just
rough.
for film.
The first thing they did when they got there was there was a little piglet, and you know that's
Oh
going to
my
be their food
gosh.
for the night. They come up and they shoot it and made sure it was
That's the thing.
non-edible.
It's like the ultimate FU to them, because they knew that was their food and now they can't use it.
So the fire burns. Everybody that tries to escape, they try to push back in, and they're just like having a good time filming it. Once it burns down, you know what they do, and like angst of celebration, like it was such a thrill. one of them
They're so
aggressively
excited.
hugs the other, and they're just having fun while the friend films it. And it's the thing is, the film went on so long that you're like,
This is at least a 3-minute scene, I would have to
I'm
say.
like, is this like a horror movie? Is this like what is this? This feels like something that should be on Cinemax at 3
Like,
a.m.
I don't mind nudity whatsoever in films. Infinity Pool, I have it literally right here. It was my favorite movie this year. Nudity does not bother me. I feel like it can add to a film. But this film, like, for example, this scene could have been cut to like 45 seconds opposed to like 3 minutes. There was no point.
Could have been cut to like 30 minutes instead of an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, so that whole scene happens. We get through that nastiness.
And the next one is probably the worst and most disgusting scene next to the I don't know. I could watch the aggressive hugging and I am like, okay, at least this is fake. The turtle. The turtle was such a hard
Out
scene
of
to watch.
all the animal cruelty in this film, the turtle scene is the worst, and you can't even hear screams.
No.
It's because like it just like from start to finish to alive to belly, you see every single part of the process.
Moving, throbbing, it's just gross.
Yeah, it's bad. Like I like don't hate me guys, gals, non-binary pals, but the way I got my niece to watch this film, which was my second viewing, see, it was fake. I told her afterwards that it was real though. I may be canceled after that one.
I mean, whatever it takes to get somebody to watch this movie. My movie is a Blu-ray copy, and it comes with a cut to take away all of that. Me being me, I'm just gonna watch the band. That's probably the reason why it was banned, and it was a rough scene to go through. And then later on in the film, let's just go ahead and talk about it all now. There's a monkey scene.
Yes,
that was filmed twice using two different monkeys.
Which is BS. Why did you have to film it twice?
The snake scene, which is probably your favorite scene. Not because of the snake dying, but because it's hiding in the boob.
Yeah. Oh my god. The snake scene is one of my favorite scenes in the film, not because of the animal cruelty, but what happens to the mother. I almost said a word I shouldn't have said.
That's fine. I'm gonna do like a happy baby laugh when we cuss.
No, there's a snake in my boot. Well, we find out what happens when a poisonous snake gets in your boot, and there's no antidote for that poison. We have to get rid of that from the knee with a machete, and you see every glorious detail. And I lived for it because this person deserved it very, very much.
Here on out, it's still getting pretty rough.
Yes.
What's the next event like with the tribe that happens? It's not that scene yet, is it?
It's not. What is it, Billy? Because I'm so scarred about that one scene coming up. Where does it go after that?
Well, I know they shot a gun, and instead of up in the air like our favorite guides, they actually shot at the tribe, and they got them.
So we find out that the guidesman that's with this crew as well, opposed to the one we begin with the doctor, is not the nicest, even though the original guy isn't the coolest person either. The guide that's with this crew kind of matches their energy, and instead of shooting up in the air like our original guide, he shoots at the people, just like shoot, 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 just like having fun to scare them, just like taking people's lives away for no reason. And I'm like, it's just like I'm gonna bring this question up, Billy, because I think it's a good question for everybody. And I'm gonna ask you. I think you know what question is coming. When you read or hear the title Cannibal Holocaust, who do you think is going to be the main antagonist or the villain in this film?
Nazis.
See, like that's a good assumption because Holocaust,
No, obviously, you think of the tribe once you start
Right.
watching.
When you think of Cannibal Holocaust, you think the cannibals are going to be the evil, disgusting, horrid people in this film. And at the end of the day, they're not. Like, you find out that these tribes people, yes, they have horrific ways and they're disgusting and they shouldn't live that way, but they are just living the life they know and the ways they know. However, the people are like the white, I only can explain them as white people because that's how they see them, is like just these random, just white skinned people coming in out of nowhere being these essential Nazis.
And you get a terrible,
and
terrible line at the very end of the movie. I know you love the
I
line.
love that line, and we will get there. Do not judge me for it yet. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I'm ready.
No, it's so good. We haven't got there yet.
Who's the real cannibals? Us or them? And then,
I love it,
he's
though.
walking off in the distance.
It's so good.
It's obviously
it's the
them.
last line.
They're the cannibals. They eat people. We might be a dog eat dog world,
BS.
but like if he would have just said, "Who's the real monsters? Us or them?" I would agree. We're more the monsters.
But they were people.
In the purest definition of cannibalism, like.
I get it.
Sloppy
but they were
Joe
trying to be
really made of
like
a guy named
of,
Joe, so
like a lot of this film, they were trying to be poetic. They didn't quite hit the mark, but they at least tried really hard to do it.
No.
You know. After that, we basically go into some more chaos. Keep in mind, we're seeing this film because they finally have restored this film back in New York. The doctor and the producers and the head of the company, I assume, are all sitting in this private theater watching this film for the first time and finding out what's happening.
And they still want to publish all of it. And they haven't watched
originally,
any of
like,
it.
they're going hardcore with the doctors, like, we can't publish this until we know what happens. We need to know what happens. We need to know what happens. I need to know what happens. Or happened, and they're like, fine, and they finally grant him access to watching this video once they see it, and they're trying to push this whole time. They're like advertising this new documentary on TV by these filmmakers, and little do they know, the people that they thought were grand, wonderful humanitarians were anything.
Let's just get to the part of the aggressive hugging.
Well, that's essentially the next scene anyway. So we go to the crew of three still. Well, it's 4 or 5. The original crew's 3.
It's 4, but one's not
It's
participating.
4, yes. One's not the original. Yes.
Well,
yeah, one's not participating.
She can't
so
participate. She's just watching and just like, you get gross.
This scene, I find, is one of the hardest scenes to get through out of the whole film. Why?
Is that
because
pun intended? Why did I say that?
Billy! Canceled. Billy D is canceled. No, just playing. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing. I don't play.
You said it. If anything, you're canceled.
No, I get it. It's hard because this girl is very young.
Oh my gosh, you said it again.
And oh no, Billy! I didn't even look at it that way until you said something. You made me feel disgusting now. Not the first time. I'm not that messed up. Jesus, please. Any hoozles. It's a very rough, very graphic scene that goes into aggressive hugging with not one person, but 2 people against one very young person. And the female of the group tries to stop them, essentially, but not very hard, and she gives up, and it's just this whole scene.
Do I have to put a hard counter?
Okay, very, what other word can I use, Billy?
I don't know, but
like, if I use intensely, it's gonna be just as bad. Like, I don't know an alternative.
You're like, it was a hard.
You're not gonna help me out of this situation. You're just gonna be on the floor by the time I'm done.
This was just an erect bad situation.
Anywho,
what are you doing?
So, I actually made Billy realize something. This go around that he did not realize until this go around. Nor did I. Billy, would you like to
go around is like a? Oh my gosh, this is rough. This is rough. Oh man,
It,
should I edit this down? No, I think I'm gonna keep all this in because
no,
this is
we
gold.
need to keep all this in. I think it's golden, honestly.
I'm like crying because of how many innuendos it sounds like you're trying to say, but you're not. You're just.
I'm not. I'm trying to be as nice as. That's the problem. This is why I get in trouble because I try to be super nice and then I end up screwing myself over at the end of the day. I try. I really do. Guys, gals, non-binary pause. I try. But anyway, after this scene happens, what happened? What did you think happened after this scene?
Let's just get through this scene one more time because. They're handing off the cameras. They're running after her. She's trying to escape, and it's just
like it's not short. It's not sweet. It
took a while to get through, and then on top of that, I thought she went back to her tribe. They found out what happened, and they basically posted it on their like social networking device. Hey, can I say that? Is that the best way to tiptoe around that?
I would say that they basically turned her into a tree.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought the first 2 times I watched this as well. But this go around, I found out what actually happened. So directly after this scene, it's shot by the original 3 antagonists that we have. The 2 men that just did the deed and the female that sat there and watched. They're filming this female as a tree on a post, and they're going on about, oh, how tragic, how cruel this culture is, how hard it is. Look what they do to their young women.
How hard it is with the young women, please, Lil. Please.
I said horrid, not hard, horrid, Billy, horrid.
That's still like one step away from saying whore. You're not getting off this easy.
At the end of the day, it wasn't the tribe that punished her for being for adultery, like most people assume. It was actually these buttheads that decided to put on a show like they did with the original and said, "Oh, it was just fake." Yeah, about that. They did this stuff to make a documentary that would sell. All of this stuff, all of it, just to make money, just to make money. And people would praise them for it because they just saw what they gave them. These people are disgusting. Disgusting. The only redeemable one is slightly the female because she tries to stop it at the beginning and then, like that scene at the beginning, and then, but she gives up. Like, I would be clawing somebody if they were doing that to somebody personally. She just gives up and sits there. And I'm like, girl, no. And then you see her in this scene and she just looks like she's all upset. I was like, girl, you could have been clawing at them the whole dang time, but no. Any hoozles.
The next few scenes go by like fireworks.
They do. But one of your favorite lines comes after this, or well, at near the end. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I'm sorry.
Well, it's
but yes.
like bang, bang, bang. Like, damn it!
After this, it's like the oh god. Now you got me all worried. I was about to say climax. Now we get to the ending of the film with like it's basic chaos because after the tribe,
they're uprising.
Oh, they're pissed.
And the thing is
no wonder they're pissed.
Dumbs,
they've been aggressively hugging and killing their people since they got there.
And these dummy-dumbs are like, hey, let's film everything as we're running away. Mm-hmm. And then Jack was like, hey, guys, look at me. And then they, like, look away and they look back. Jack has a spear in him. And he was like, oh, guys, this is real. And it's like, oh, no. Like,
and then the one guy gets his member removed. And I didn't like that scene because for being a vicious movie, I don't like when those scenes happen and somebody's passed out. If you're not screaming, if you're not crying, then what's the point? Like it's just
if somebody took away my AMC membership, I would be screaming and crying too. I completely understand.
No, but he's passed out. It looks good, but I wish that it sounded like he got what was coming to him instead of him being out.
The only reason why it looks good is because the dumb friend is making sure he records everything. Like when the woman got captured.
Yeah, because after this, after he gets his member and he's used like a pinata with sticks on a rock, they bolt And then they stop in the middle of the rainforest. One of your favorite parts, Billy. What does he do with the only weapon they have, the flare gun?
He starts shooting it off like he's like some type of Van Damme movie.
Yes. When the freaking people are coming from the right and he's shooting to the left,
And he's shooting at
grab
trees.
his woman.
It's so
They grab
stupid.
his woman. Like, they literally grab his woman, and he's not even paying attention to that. They look back, and he's like, oh, I gotta go get her. And the guy with the camera's like, no, man, stop, you can't, we gotta go.
No, and then
what do? They do
They go and do 360 shots. They're slowly walking around. Like, the girl is now being aggressively hugged by the
and they're
whole tribe.
filming it. Oh, they couldn't have went and grabbed her and saved her from this group of men, but no, they can stop and hide in the bushes and film what's happening to her this whole time. And I will say, out of all the acting she did, this ending scene she did really well. So,
and
go ahead, Billy.
It was just
It was a lot of aggressive hugging, and then another pinata scene at the end of the day to end it all off. And then
this is
they
the last kill.
pulled her like pulled pork, basically.
Yeah, this last kill though was kind of like soft, if you ask me, because
I got really mad at this last kill because he deserves so much more. Anyway, go ahead.
Nope, he tripped and fell, and like you see some blood, the camera buzzed out.
Some rock.
It's kind of like, hey, we don't have much budget left for this final kill.
That's what it felt like.
And
that's
they're
what
like,
it felt
okay,
like.
well then let's just do this, and they kind of do like this type of ending. But my favorite scene is right here.
Okay, and this is where their film ends. And this is where we're back at the theater. Everybody's in shock and awe.
The doctor was trying so hard to make them watch the whole movie before it gets produced, so they go to this actual theater room. At the end of it, they slowly, one by one gets up, he gags a little bit, opens the door, leaves. Doesn't say anything. The woman gets up, looks at the doctor, or looks at the professor, looks away.
She knows she messed up, and she's just like, in that look, she's like, I know I messed up.
Walks away. The final guy gets up, doesn't walk
Ellie's
to the
favorite
door.
character.
He picks up the phone and says, the footage, burn it all. And then hangs up the phone, gets up, walks away. And the doctor, it kind of has like a cocky smirk, like, I proved them wrong. And gets up and
he's like, I knew it.
He's
like, I knew something was wrong.
Us or them?
Or them. I love that line, okay? I love that line. But then after that, it goes to, and this is partly what got the filmmaker in trouble. It says in roughly that the film was sold for $2 million by the editor of the film, who's the projectionist essentially, because he stole the film instead of burning it. He was fined $10,000 and he still made almost $2 million off of it, and that's how they end it. So that's the end of Cannibal Holocaust. But let's go into some fun facts about this. After this film was released, people thought this film was real. And the director and filmmaker was put in jail until the main actors that died on film showed up in court to prove that they were not dead. That's how much people believed in this film. And like, to this day, there is not a shock and awe film, I don't think, that goes this far and puts this much effort in. I think it's because the director, from what I've learned, he was going through a very bad, very rough divorce and custody battle at the time. And he said the reason he thinks it's so vicious is he put every single negative and disgusting and despicable emotion he had at the time into this film. And that's what we're watching. It was the roughest time in this man's life.
There's so many documentaries of behind the scenes of this movie. If you have Shudder, I recommend Curse Films. They do a whole episode on it. So we could talk about the behind the scenes ad nauseum.
Yes.
But there's
a lot.
Was there any other facts that we missed? Because I had some, but I completely forgot.
I don't think anything like horrifically relevant. I think we got through everything everybody's curious about for the most part.
Well, then it's game time. Game time. Let's do this. I have this listed up.
Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Oh, do you?
And I'll be honest, we did pretty good for not talking about how this was a refilm, but we're refilming this.
I uh,
It was all Lilith's fault. I'm just kidding.
Let's just say I love Billy D. That's all I'm gonna say. I love you, Billy D.
This was rough. As soon as this was done, I got up, went to bed. I was so mad. I wasn't really talking. I was done.
Oh my god. No. You'll see. I don't know if he filmed it or not, what he did to me and Rob the other day. That was some mean stuff right there. That was some mean stuff.
So
he made me and Rob think that he didn't record our 3-hour-long episode.
I know.
Me and Rob were like, we weren't mad, but we were both like, did we just talk for 3 hours and now we gotta read? Which we weren't mad, but it was like, damn, we just gabbed for 3 hours. How are we gonna do this again? No, but Mr. Billy D, the beautiful troll that he is, was just kidding.
Anyways.
Yes, happy Pride Month, guys, gals, non-binary pals at your local Walgreens if you want one.
Are you ready for this game?
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm getting used to it.
That we play every time is called Blind Rank. It's where I say a movie and Lil has to list it between 1 through 5, and she doesn't know what's coming next. The first movie,
and I can't change my slots.
First movie is The Hills Have Eyes.
Original or remake?
Let's do original.
4. Not my favorite, but I love the creator.
Wrong Turn, original.
Oh, Elijah Dishku is my girl. I'm gonna put that at 2.
Silence of the Lambs.
Y'all are gonna freaking come for me. Before I say this, I love the performances. I think it's a really good film, but 5. It's not my favorite. I am so sorry. It is iconic, but it's not my favorite.
Green Inferno.
Oh, I'm scared that Cannibal's going to be on this film. So if I put Green Inferno at 1 and Cannibal's on this film, I'm going to be so mad. What slots I got left, Billy?
You got 1 or 3.
Green Inferno, 1 or 3.
I don't want to sway your opinion, but I do like Green Inferno probably slightly more than...
I really like Green Inferno for like a copycat film of Cannibal. I think it's as good as it could do for something that was in the theaters nowadays. It doesn't go nearly as far, but it goes fairly far.
I went with a group of friends, and half of them got up and left in the middle of the movie. They couldn't finish it.
I personally love it. I think I prefer the ending to Green Inferno over the ending of Cannibal Holocaust. Personally, I absolutely adored the ending of Green Inferno. If you haven't seen the Green Inferno, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and you're curious about Cannibal Holocaust, watch that one instead, because it's kind of the same basis. It doesn't go as far, but it still goes there. And it has our spy kid in it, Mr. Redhead. I didn't even know he was in it until recently, and I've watched this movie multiple times. But go ahead, Billy. Green Inferno,
3.
I'm gonna put that at 1 because I do enjoy that film. I think for what it is as essentially not necessarily a copycat, but like inspired by Cannibal, I think it did as good as it could do.
And at number 3,
I'm so scared.
I can't believe you didn't remember because this was your number 1.
Oh no.
Night of the Living Dead, the original.
Okay, I can tolerate that as 3, but if I had a choice, that would be my number 1 because I've loved that film since I was a child.
I don't think your whole list changed from last time.
And I didn't even remember it, Billy.
So your list last time
is the thing.
Was
because you can't. Go ahead.
Your list last time was Night of the Living Dead as 1.
Mm-hmm.
2 was Green Inferno. 3 was Silence of the Lambs. 4 was Wrong Turn, and 5 was Hills Have Eyes.
The only thing I would have done differently about the original list is I would have moved Wrong Turn up 1 and Hills are the other one down 1.
Okay. All
Yes,
right.
that
Well,
would be my official list.
that was it. I hope you guys had a great time with this episode. We'll see you again real
Thank
soon.
you guys, gals, non-binary pals.